If you don't know what an ADU is, this video is for you. What's up guys, it's McKeown back again with another video this week, and I actually got this video talking about ADUs from a recent video that Bigger Pockets posted on their YouTube page. If you're not familiar with what Bigger Pockets is, I think there was two separate things that started my real estate journey. That was Rich Dad Poor Dad and Bigger Pockets. Well, Bigger Pockets is an online forum, a great place for you to collaborate and get feedback from other people, but also to watch a ton of podcasts, read a bunch of books, and just learn a lot about the opportunity in real estate investing. So this specific video we're gonna be talking about is ADUs, or in other words, accessory dwelling units. Now, if you're not familiar with the term, an accessory dwelling unit is exactly that, a dwelling unit that is separate from the attached house. Let's say you bought a single family house, or you're looking at homes, you're trying to buy a single family house. It's gonna be a detached unit in the back. Sometimes it can be a garage with a, livable space up top. Sometimes people will actually convert garages. The downside of that is you've obviously got to run plumbing and electrical throughout the entire garage. I actually even recently sold a property that this particular couple wasn't really looking to buy a property with an ADU, but when we went and looked at it, they loved the house, they loved the acreage, and their 2-car, I think it actually may have been a 3-car garage. Above that was an ADU, or an additional space for someone to live out of. I think the prior owners were actually using it as a massage studio or somewhere to operate their business out of, which can easily be done as well. But at the end of the day, the ADU is used whether it be for business purposes or for personal renting out. It's an option for you to look at if you're trying to offset your mortgage. One thing that happens after being in the business for about 5.5 years is you see it all the way from being super creative when it comes to real estate investing to just buying a single family house for your family, eventually selling it and getting some profit from appreciation. I can tell you there are some stuff when it comes to ADUs that you need to be aware of. First things first, let's say you buy a property and it has an ADU in the back. You have to live in the primary house. You can't buy an ADU, or you can't buy a single family house with an ADU in the back, live in the ADU, and then rent out the front of the house. That's gonna be mortgage fraud. Highly suggest that you do not do that. Also, second of all, if you live in that front house and you rent out the back, let's say it's middle of the year, June, July timeframe, you purchase the house, you rent out the back, let's say you decide to furnish it. You decide to write off those furnishings as a short-term rental cost. You rent it out for the rest of that 6 months. You're only going to have 6 months of income generated from that short-term rental or that ADU in the back of your lot. And also, if you wrote off the furnishings, you're not gonna really show any profit. Now, when it comes to acquiring a property the next year, you're gonna have taxes that show income generated from that ADU, but the actual income you generated is gonna be offset by the actual furnishings that you purchased for that unit. So you're really only gonna have 6 months of income generated, and then that income is gonna be severely depleted when you actually write off your furnishings. So be aware that when it comes to the following year and you're trying to not only include necessarily, let's say, a new tenant's lease for that front house, you're not necessarily going to be able to include the back house because you didn't show any profitability. It's the same thing when you build a business. Obviously, when your business tries to acquire any kind of asset, they need to show proof or profit. And in this case, if you had a ADU not really making any profit in 6 months because that income you were generating was just offsetting what you paid to furnish it, you're not going to have any profitability, which means that's not going to help you offset your debt to income ratio when it comes to acquiring the next property. Again, so to break that down just a little bit more clear, an accessory dwelling unit is a good option, but just be aware that you're gonna have to file taxes and have a year of rental history from that ADU showing that it's bringing in income and not generating at a loss, meaning you've been repairing a bunch of stuff or furnishing it. You gotta show profitability when it comes to that ADU in order for the income generated from that ADU to offset your debt to income ratio. Now, I know a lot of markets, especially in their downtown areas, have these opportunities such as ADUs, or in other words, mother-in-law suites. They're great for affordability. For instance, the San Diegos and, Seattle's, where you've got very, very high prices when it comes to homes, but you've got an opportunity to buy a single family with an ADU in the back. You can rent out that ADU and it'll help offset your mortgage. It's a very good opportunity, and it allows you to still go conventional. This is another thing that you need to know as well. A duplex is a great route, but a duplex only allows you to do a 3.5% down FHA or a 0% down VA loan on a duplex. Most places also, if you're going FHA, are not going to be able to do a triplex or quad. Usually only VA loans are going to be capable of doing that in more expensive markets because they're not self-sufficient. A triplex and a quad on an FHA needs to be self-sufficient, but we're getting off topic here. Going back to the ADU. The ADU is a single family purchase, meaning you can do your 3% down, great rate, conventional loan, good terms, high credit, 3% down, period, and rent out that back unit. When it comes to a multifamily, if you wanted to use a conventional loan and occupy it, you're more than likely looking at 15% down. So if you're someone that doesn't want to use an FHA loan on a duplex, and you're not a veteran, but you want some kind of idea or some sense of being able to help offset your heavy mortgage costs outside of potentially just maybe renting out a bedroom or two in your physical house, find a house with an ADU and rent that out to someone else. So when it comes to purchasing a house with an ADU, it's just gonna take a little bit more, I guess you could say, planning ahead than purchasing a duplex. A duplex is very, very easy. You just purchase, live in one side, you're able to use the other side as long as there's a lease in place. And if there's not a lease in place, they'll use market rents. You can help use that market rent or that lease to offset your debt to income ratio. That's why oftentimes if you go purchase a single family, you can get pre-approved for $300,000, but if you buy a duplex, you can get pre-approved for $350,000 or maybe $400,000, assuming that there's some set X rent being paid monthly. Now, when it comes to a single family with an ADU, you're still gonna be stuck at that $300,000. So you're gonna have to be able to qualify for that house without the income generated from that accessory dwelling unit. But if you're thinking far ahead, make sure you file your taxes correctly. Make sure you file your taxes and show, and unfortunately, when I say file taxes, that means you also got to pay taxes on the income generated from that ADU. I know there's plenty of people out there that are renting bedrooms out to friends that are not claiming that income. You need to claim that income and you need to pay taxes on that income if you want to be able to use that income to help offset your debt to income ratio. A lender is not going to see income generated unless it's on your taxes. So if you're looking to purchase a house with an ADU, again, make sure you file your taxes correctly with the accessory dwelling unit. And if you're going to be renting out rooms in that single family house and keeping it room by room, meaning you're not going to move out completely in a year or move out completely in a couple years and rent it out to a tenant with a lease in place, just a full-time tenant, make sure all of your roommates have leases in place for the 2 or 3 or 4, however many bedrooms are in that single family house. Make sure every single one of them have a lease. And again, make sure you're claiming all of that income you're generating from those rooms. I actually know a CPA that's purchasing houses, essentially house hacking them, living in them, renting them out to friends, having them on leases, claiming the income, filing his taxes correctly because he is a CPA. And when he moves out, he rents out his primary bedroom and again, has a lease in place there. And I can tell you, if you rent out per room, you're gonna get a lot more total income generated if you rent out per room than if you just rent it out to a family or a couple or an individual. The biggest thing though, when it comes to ADUs or renting out by room is make sure, again, you claim the income and file it on your taxes. Now, I can tell you on the flip side, let's say you buy a single family house and you decide that, hey, I'm gonna rent out a couple rooms in the front house where I'm living too. So I've got 2 rooms renting out for about $600 a piece or $1,200 total. And I'm renting out that ADU in the back for about $1,000 a month. That's $2,200 a month that you should be claiming. Now, if you don't, that $2,200 is no longer gonna be income that can be shown on your new application when you apply for the next house you wanna purchase. And that's $2,200 that could help offset your mortgage. Now, obviously, depending on the state that you live in, you could obviously get much more in rent or per bedroom, or maybe a lot more for the ADU in the back, but that $2,200 or whatever total gross rent that you're pulling from that property, the single family up front and the ADU in the back, if you're not claiming that income, you're gonna be really hurting when it comes to applying for the next property because your debt to income ratio is gonna basically have that mortgage you have on that house and nothing to offset it. Now we're gonna jump over to some other facts when it comes to ADUs. Now, ADUs are a great opportunity, again, to help offset your mortgage, assuming that you filed your taxes correctly. But ADUs are also a great opportunity that if you wanted to go the short-term rental route, that you could get a good amount of money from an ADU. Another thing when it comes to an ADU is it's a detached unit. It's a detached unit, and it's not a duplex. It's not crammed up and against the other part of the house. It's going to be a detached unit. When a house has a detached unit, that detached unit is not going to be worth the same value as the house itself. So when you're comparing properties, let's say you have a 1,500 square foot home and you have a 500 square foot ADU, that is not a 2,000 square foot home. That is a 1,500 square foot home with an ADU. When you're comparing houses around that particular house that's being sold, you compare it to houses that have 1,500 square feet. You're gonna get a little bit additional value for that ADU, and you personally, yes, you're gonna get a good amount of money in return, but it doesn't comp out to houses that have 2,000 square feet. So make sure you're working with a realtor that understands that and understands that there is additional value for that ADU. Obviously, it's going to generate additional income for you, but it's not like a duplex where you've got 1,500 square feet on one side, 1,500 square feet on the other for a total of 3,000. You've got a house that actually has 3,000 square feet. An ADU is separate. Now, another thing that you can actually look at doing is building an ADU. Obviously, this is going to require some additional work depending on your city and depending on permitting, and even if your city allows something like this. I know in the city of Dallas, it's a little sketchy of whether or not they'll actually approve it. And certainly not in the north suburbs of Dallas would this ever really be allowed. But if you can get approval, you can build an ADU in the back. And let's say you just buy a $300,000 house, build an ADU in the back for maybe $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and you can generate a good amount of money from that ADU. So ADUs are a great opportunity. You can buy a house and build an ADU in the back and rent it out, or buy a house with an ADU already in the back, as long as your wife or husband is okay with random people sleeping in the backyard or in that back storage unit or shed or whatever it may be. But truly, at the end of the day, being able to generate income from somewhere that I think all of us need, a roof over our head, is a great start to real estate investing. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you have any questions specifically on ADUs, building ADUs, or kind of doing what I did where I built my custom Airbnb suite into my house, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. Feel free to shoot me an email or leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I appreciate all the support. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help, and stay tuned for the next video.